Hi, I'm Vanessa, and my topic is the drinking age. First off, I want to start off with a question, and it's, how many of you guys drink? It's like a third of you guys. So my main claim is that reducing the legal drinking age would decrease harmful patterns of consumption. And if 18-year-olds are considered adults, they should be allowed to drink. They can enlist in the army, they can vote, they can get a tattoo, they can get married, apply for credit, purchase lottery tickets, and in Virginia, you can get your hunting license at age 12. So I think that in a college setting, it would be a lot safer if the drinking age was lowered, because a study shown by CBS News said that more than 3,000 Americans under 21 are dying every year from alcohol-related causes other than driving, which included homicide, suicide, and alcohol poisoning. And a particular case was Gordy Bailey in 2004. He went to the University of Colorado, and he was in a fraternity. He was trying to get into the Chi Psi fraternity. And for the initiation, they had him take 15 to 20 shots of alcohol. And he got alcohol poisoning, and they left him in the room by himself, and they just kept checking on him, making sure if he was okay. And they left him there for maybe like 2 minutes, and he passed away. So I think that lowering the drinking age, like if the drinking age was lowered, they would have reported it, because they were too afraid to do it because everybody there was like 18. So they couldn't really report it because then the whole fraternity would get in trouble. And binge drinking. Binge drinking is consuming more than 5 drinks a week, and 22% of all students under 21, compared to 18% over 21 years of age, are heavy drinkers. Among drinkers, only 32% of underage are, compared to 24 of legal age, are heavy drinkers. And that was by Ruth Clifford Ames, a professor at Indiana University. And I think that lowering the drinking age, the lower drinking ages in like European countries result in more responsibility. For example, parents drink with their children, so they learn their limits, because most people don't really learn their limit, and they vomit after drinking, they cut class after drinking, or like they cut class because of their hangover. And so a student alcohol questionnaire compared Scottish male students to American university students, and they were all attending a health science class, and 0.4% of Scottish students lost a job, compared to 24% of American students. And 7.4% of Scottish students had trouble with the law, and 19.4% had problems with the law as Americans. And 6.3% of Scottish students drove after drinking, as opposed to 44.8% of American students. And 5.1% of Scottish students driven while drunk, and 38.4% American students. And 0.2% of Scottish students got a DWI citation, and 19.9% of American students got a DWI citation. So all in all, I think that if there was a lower drinking age, we would learn our limits, and we would pretty much be a little bit more responsible. I'm not saying that we would be completely responsible, because we have those days, but I think that it would be a lot smarter to do that, because in 1980, that's when the law changed to making it to 21, and this law has pretty much created a dangerous culture for us, and it has pretty much put a bad name on us. So I think that we can't stop underage drinking. The only thing that we can do is contain it. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, the strongest part of the argument is the proposition. You've got a very clearly stated proposition, so we know where you're going. But after that, things seem to go off the rail a little bit. You get sidetracked by the value issue as an introduction in the speech. You start talking about some issues without explaining how they're connected to the inference that you're making, like the whole discussion of binge drinking, which I'm sure is relevant in some way, but it's not very clear how it's relevant. And the example about the kids who are getting poisoning, and it seems to be a suggestion that there's some cause-effect relationship there, although I think the proof on that is, doesn't the student dying also have a consequence to their fraternity? I would think that that would be something that they'd be considering. So I'm not sure that there's a very strong inference on that particular point. The point that where you make a clearer supporting claim has to do with the European comparison, but the only evidence that you have is this one study that's got a lot of extensive information comparing Scottish students to American students, and I think it sounds like it's pretty good data, although once again I think it needs to be a little bit more complete. And we also need to know how comparable the two cultures are. For instance, you mentioned about the driving issue. Well, we don't know what the level of driving is in the different places. You mentioned about the loss of jobs and getting fired, for instance. Well, here's one of those things. What's the level of unemployment in the different places? If people don't have jobs, then their chances of being fired are smaller, and Scotland's got a lot of those kinds of problems. So you need to show that the comparison that you're using there is really a strong one. Also, there's not really a discussion of what the customs in Scotland are when it comes to drinking, and that's based on the way that people learn how to drink, or whether it's based on the culture there. It sounded to me a lot of times like you were just winging it from idea to idea. There needs to be a clearer plan on the organizational structure. The first half of the speech, it was kind of hard to tell where you were going sometimes. Information dropped in without necessarily being connected to a claim, and that needed to be a lot sharper. Like the data from Ruth Ings about binge drinking shows up. I'm going, okay, well, how is this connected to the point that you're making? I think there probably is some connection, but it wasn't very clear. You do an okay job talking to the audience, but like I said, organizationally it's a problem. All right, thank you.